Okay, before we continue on with the tributes and performances, a couple things that I need to let everyone know. First of all, we have a bunch of folks outside of this building in the parking lots watching on the screens, and we thank you for your support, and we know you guys want to be in here. And look, everybody knows that above everything, Ronnie loved his fans. So to that end, we assure you guys outside that you will have the opportunity at the end of the memorial to come in and pay your respects to Ronnie and make your way in here. Because we know Ronnie would have it no other way. Also, I've just been handed this note here from Council Member Paul Koritz, who is a Los Angeles council member, and I'd like to read this to you. He writes, "I'd like to adjourn in memory of Ronnie James Dio, born Ronald James Padavona in Portsmouth, New Hampshire in 1942. He had an amazing career in music, marked by tremendous success with bands like Elf, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and Dio. He began his career playing with rockabilly bands in the late 50s and gained wide exposure in 1972, while his band Elf was the opening act for Deep Purple. In 1979, he replaced Ozzy Osbourne as the frontman of Black Sabbath, and he toured with Sabbath until 1982, and by then he had formed his own group, Dio. Ronnie's charisma on stage was complemented by his compassion off stage. As an organizer for the nonprofit organization Children of the Night, he was dedicated to the cause of assisting children who were forcefully subjected to prostitute themselves on the streets. Since 1979, this organization has provided victims of forced prostitution with intervention and counseling, as well as a roof over their heads and a place to sleep. And last, but certainly the best part of all this, that Council Member Paul Koritz has proclaimed May 30th today Ronnie James Dio Day in Los Angeles. Continuing on now for the incredible musical evolution of Ronnie James Dio, we get now to a point where, man, did I love this point. I remember vividly being a kid growing up in Jersey, and on the Jersey Shore Boardwalk there were stands where you could put a quarter on a number and the number would come up, and if your number hit, you could pick any album you wanted on the wall. And one day my number hit, man did it ever, and I look at the wall and I saw a bunch of album covers, and I saw this album with some angels smoking cigarettes on the cover. And I said to the guy behind the counter, "I'll take that one." And he handed me the album, and I took it home, and I knew it would piss off my parents, which is really the reason I selected it. And dropped the needle on the record, and what I heard absolutely floored me. I had, like many people, been aware of Black Sabbath, but at that point I was very young and really didn't know much about anything Sabbath before that, beyond having heard the name. But for me, and as we found going forward, so many others, a lot of people discovered Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio. It certainly met with no disrespect to anything that Sabbath did prior to that, because that is obviously landmark and legendary beyond belief. They are the creators, the architects. What Tony, Bill, and Geezer did was just simply beyond words. But for me, this was special. This has always been a special part for me and many others of the Black Sabbath story. for someone like Ronnie to be able to walk into that sort of situation and really take things to a whole nother level and revive and resuscitate a legendary band, it's hard to believe anybody else could have done that, and he did that and then some. I was so moved by it that a couple years later, when I graduated high school, I took the quote from The Back of Heaven and Hell and put it under my yearbook picture, and that really pissed off my parents. Ladies and gentlemen, let's turn our attentions to the screen and watch the rebirth of Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio.